welcome back to the Coco Convo Corner. And if you have come into the corner before and you've taken a seat, then welcome back. If this is your first time, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to get right into it. As I've said before, I've really been liking these short form content excerpts. So we're going to kind of keep along with that and keep this episode, or try to keep it under the 30 minutes. If you don't know who I am, my name is Courtney. I go by Coco. I like doing personal projects, one of them being like podcasting, talking about real life events, things that I've experienced, things that it seems like the whole world is going through, giving commentary and all of the things. And as you can see from today's episode, we are getting into, editor, please add a drum roll, Dreamcon. So, what is Dreamcon, you may be asking? You might be asking. Dreamcon is a con, just like Comic-Con. You have like Dragon Con, Anime Con, started by RDC World. RDC World is a group of young gentlemen who love anime and writing and producing and skits and gaming and all those things that, you know, when you were younger maybe weren't as cool, but now, you know, people that weren't with you shooting in the gym want to try to monetize and act like they've been loved these things and they were undercover, yada yada yada. So RDC World eventually created their own con, and it started off with like 8,000 people attending. Then it just increased every single year. So they stand for just being your authentic self and creating productions and just having fun and friendship and all those things. I was introduced to them years ago on YouTube. They started on YouTube. Now they have like a service you can pay for through their website, but they still create other content. So it's really, really dope to just see their trajectory and see their inclusivity and their growth. So that's been really dope. And I had plans to go to Dreamcon last year and this year, and things just did not shake out. So when I was talking or chatting or texting with my friend and I found out he was going to Dreamcon, I think like I feel like that's the first real time I felt envious and jealousy towards anybody in my life outside of maybe being super, super young. So on today's episode, I have with me my guest, Julian. Let's welcome Julian. Woo!
Hello.
So Julian,
thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to talk about this. Let's get into it.
Listen, so excited. How would you like the people to know you, or how would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Oh man. Well, I am Julian, and I'm just a fellow blerd living in Atlanta, just trying to navigate life. You know. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. And Julian and I have known each other for a few years now. And he's always just been super cool. He's like really witty. He'll be snarky back with me. So we fit right in as acquaintances and friends when we don't get on each other's nerves. So when I found out, like I said, that he was going to Dreamcon, I was green with envy. I cannot tell. I think that's the first real time in my entire life I ever felt envious of somebody. So I asked him, I was like, would you be willing? Go ahead.
I said low key, that made me even more excited to go.
Lucky you. You got something up on me. Kennel. Sorry. My doggy. So, I want to start off with, like, how were you introduced to RDC? And also, what made you say, okay, well, this year, I'm not missing Dreamcon?
So, I've been a fan of RDC since they started. I think they started in college. Mm-hmm. And I want to say they originated from Texas. They're from Texas. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're correct.
But the YouTube video, I think, which made them go viral initially was when people take anime too far.
Classic.
Quick synopsis, like Mark, which is, I guess he's like the leader.
One of the founders, yeah.
Yes. Like he's a founder. Like he plays like this guy who's in an actual real life fight, but he keeps playing like he's one of his anime characters. And yeah, if you haven't seen it on YouTube, please go look it up. I think that'll be like a great avenue into, you know, being a fan of RDC, that's how I got into him.
Mm-hmm. So a great initial episode to go look at. And if you guys do search for them, they might be under RDC World 1. That might also be how you find them too. Yeah. Okay. Oh, how did you end up? And I don't even know. Did you go by yourself? Did you go with a group of friends? Were you like soloing this whole trip? Like, how did this come about?
I went with a group of friends, and we knew about Dreamcon for a couple of years. I mean, obviously, since it first started, since like we're all fans of RDC, so the friends that were available to go, I think it was kind of like a spur of the moment when we found out that the tickets were selling. I think this was like around January. So one of my friends was like, "Hey, let's do it. Are y'all trying to go?" And then I just jumped at it. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get tickets." So there was there was like this online, like you were on like a waiting list, and
Yes.
he basically bought all of his tickets, and then we just like paid him back. It was just
Nice.
like that. But yeah, was also my first convention experience. So
Ever.
yeah, never been to a con before. But yeah, definitely excited to experience DreamCon.
Okay. So yeah, I want to like get straight into it because I have been to
Sure.
Anime Expo and some other cons and stuff. So I want to know, like, I won't say I want to know everything, but I do want to know a couple of things. So let's just go down the list. So you arrive at is it an arena, a facility? Where do they have it at? A Superdome? Where do they have it at?
Superdome. No, so this was Austin, Texas. So like Austin, Texas supposedly is predominantly white area, but it's also kind of like a white liberal kind of space.
Okay.
I've been to Portland, and that's like, if you've been to Portland, it's kind of similar. But I can definitely say it was one of the blackest weekends that they've ever had.
Nice.
And I do not apologize for it.
Nice.
But yeah, DreamCon was centered in like downtown Austin, and it was really cool because the actual convention, the actual DreamCon, like it was separated in between, I think like 3 hotels, or at least like 3 convention centers and a hotel. So yeah, they had like a map and, you know, everything, and, you know, like multiple stages, and there were a bunch of other hotels to where you can book, to where it's like everything was walking distance. So you did not have to pay for, you know, any Ubers or anything like that. It's just a bunch of walking. And let's see what else.
You did mention that there were multiple stages. So let's talk about like some of the events there. So like, what were the stages doing? Were there panelists? I know there was like a dodgeball thing. Like, what were the stages showing?
So yeah, like you said, there was a dodgeball tournament, basketball tournament, which you had to be a platinum badge member. Which, yeah, if you want me to get into that, I can right now. But
not just quite yet, but towards the end.
Okay. But yeah, so exclusive for, you know, people who paid for, you know, more exclusive badges. And then you had a lot of discussion groups. So there was like one of them I went to where there was like, is this anime character black? And yeah, just a bunch of different like stages, like, you know, multiple discussion panels, like who's your favorite anime, you know, which character could be in a fight, you know, 1v1. There are a bunch of like gaming
like where you could play
places.
Video games?
Oh yeah, and then
I didn't know that. That's new.
Yes. Yeah. There was also a Mortal Kombat tournament to which Cleo Thomas, aka Holes, Cleo from Holes, he actually won the tournament, so it was there.
He's really cool. Tapped into the Blur community, so I'm glad
he was also dressed up as Powerline too. Oh yeah. I've always been a fan of him as well. And I know this is my only con that I've been to, but I'm pretty sure this is the only one that had an open gym. And I thought that was like when I got there to my hotel, I was looking through the schedule and it said open gym. I was like, this is probably the blackest thing I ever heard. It was like, what kind of
Right.
convention center has an
What
open
does that
gym?
mean? Like y'all just
Like,
got together and people were working out?
no, it was like it's where you play like pickup basketball, or it was like pickup dodgeball, but it wasn't exactly an open gym. It was kind of like sectioned off. It had like one court where they did play like the basketball tournament. Um, so like it wasn't exactly like that, but it was still like where you could just play pickup basketball or pickup dodgeball, which was
Super dope.
it was pretty cool. And I was like,
Right. I've never
these
heard
my
of that
people.
concept being like portrayed in real life, so that's super dope. For a con, at least.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, and then like one of my favorites was the
Did you
cosplay
dress up?
contest. I
Did you
did
at least
not.
have like some fan gear or anime shirts or anything like that? Did you have a Hunter x Hunter hat you just happened to wear?
Uh,
You didn't even
no,
wear the Hunter x Hunter hat. You fought me over to Dreamcon. You didn't even wear it.
hey, I forgot. I forgot
Disrespect.
it at home. I should have taken a picture of it, and then should have taken a picture of me with the hat on with Cleo Thomas and send it
Disrespectful.
to you, just so you can, just so I can feel that envy. But um, yeah. So that was like the cosplay contest was really cool. Just being there for the first time, just shows like just like I have like a lot of
A
appreciation
lot of
for
work that goes into
cosplayers.
it. A lot of work and
Um,
money that goes into it, for sure.
oh, for sure. Oh yeah, and they even did like an amateur to like I guess like master or like professional level. It's like cosplay contest and like from top to bottom, like everything was great. And what like it was kind of like one of the highlights. There was an 8-year-old girl who dressed up as Chopper, um, and she was with her mom, and she was one of the contestants. And I don't know, like I felt really touched by it because it's like everybody that was attending there was once
Yeah.
that 8-year-old girl, and it's like when she showed up on stage, like we showed her props, like we sang happy birthday to her, both the original and the Stevie Wonder version. So it was really special, us, giving her that love, that a lot of us didn't really get,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk and touch on
that.
too was like community, and you just went right into that, and that's a big part of this arena. Like when it comes to anime, when it comes to Black spaces, when it comes to those cross sections or the Venn diagram where it's like we're in the middle, where we're like smart and anime and sports and all these things. You know what I mean? Just being multifaceted as Black Americans. Um, yeah, so that's beautiful because you're right. It starts when you're young, and to have those influences, not just the influence, the support at such a young age. And if she continues along this path, I guarantee you, she's gonna be winning these contests. She's gonna be doing the manga reading and the everything. So that is a beautiful sight, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely um that was the best experience, was the Black experience, for me. Um like the first time I stepped into the convention center, like just a sea of
Yeah,
Black people, just like all like
yeah.
cosplaying. Um no, it was just something that it's like I don't think I'll ever get to experience.
At other
It
cons, at
was,
least.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And for the record, it didn't smell bad at all because I've also heard that was a thing.
Maybe you didn't stay in the gaming section long enough.
Maybe not, maybe not, but yeah, I mean, it was hot. Don't get me wrong. When you get into a room, full of Black people, it gets a little toasty. But yeah, wasn't that smelly?
So what would you say was your like greatest takeaway outside of feeling, this overwhelming gratefulness to be around community, finally going to your first Dreamcon. Is there any moment that stood out to you where you were like, I will never forget this moment?
I really think like just the overall experience, because granted wasn't there was a lot of events that didn't get a chance to do, just because when I was with my group of friends, we kind of like collectively
Navigated.
chose to go
Yeah.
to like one event. Yeah, which I mean, like next time, I kind of want to have like a more individual
Mhm.
approach. Like if I really want to go to something, regardless if my friends don't want to go, I'm gonna make that happen. Um, but really, I was just taking everything in. Um, just like meeting up with different people. Like everyone was unabashedly
Mhm.
themselves, which was really cool. So not one particular
Okay.
thing stood out. Like I do have gripes,
And yeah, what could have
which
been
we can
better
get to.
that you feel? What could have been better?
All right, so uh, it was understaffed. Um,
Really? Okay, so
yeah,
that
it
surprises
was.
me because not last year or this year, but 2 years prior, I'd signed my brother and I up to be like volunteers, and we never heard back from them. Like they have a volunteer program, so that's weird.
Oh yeah, y'all would have gotten trampled.
What?
Like
What you mean?
it. Um. Well, like you said, like it's been growing every year, the attendance,
Hmm.
and they kept talking about it went from 6,000 to twenty
Hmm.
thousand, and you can like base your expectation of attendance based on ticket
Hmm.
sales, but I still think like it's hard to transition from that big of a jump in attendance.
Right.
So like I don't really like fault them for not like being that
It's
prepared.
growing pains.
Yeah, but like I've heard that volunteers were walking out like
What?
in the weekend, like, and it was just very that kind of contributed to the disorganization
Hmm.
of like the whole thing. The map itself, where like everything was, and based on the schedule, like that was fine.
Hmm.
Um, but like the signs were a little bit confusing. Um, And I guess the biggest thing that like I had a gripe about were the lines.
Okay.
And uh
Like, what was the
so
average wait time? You mean for event lines or initially getting into the convention center lines?
event lines, like there were like the major lines, like the Family Feud one,
Mhm.
where they had like the biggest stage on there. Like we were waiting close to, but not like up to half an hour. I know some people were waiting more than that,
Mm.
but you still had to wait in the line. But the problem was like the lines were basically they had taped the floor, which looked like scotch tape, and they were kind of like, I'm serious, like they were expecting us to like see like what the tape was, kind of recognize like, oh, this is the line we should abide by. And it was like, no. So we were all just like crowding up at the door at one point, and then you had these poor volunteers that were saying, it's like, oh, make a line, make a single file line. It's like you can't expect people to make a single file line when it gets to a certain amount of people. Like
Yeah,
it's too late for that.
yeah.
And so we were trying to play like hokey pokey in between like the lines. Like I had my foot in the line, so like I've been here. It's like I don't have to move to the back of the line. So yeah, very disorganized when it came to lines, which I think like if you invest in like those belt barriers,
The
you know,
velvet ropes and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. If you just invest in that, then I think that would like clean up a lot of that. Because like a lot of
That's a
people
really good recommendation.
oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's definitely one thing. And actually I think they've grown enough to like hire staff at this point. Um,
Well, I thought some of the people were hired. I thought they had hired staff as well as volunteers.
I you could be right, and that makes sense. But I think just Just more staff in
More.
general.
More.
Yeah, just more. Volunteer or not.
Okay. I do want to get into some specifics because I feel like these are the questions that people really need to know that don't go answered. And I say this as someone who's attended 3 music festivals this year. Like, when it comes to particulars, what was and wasn't allowed? Were some cosplay weapons or swords or things allowed or not allowed? Were there certain bags that were or weren't allowed? Was security tight? Do you feel like it was a super safe environment? Like, yeah, we're all coming here together for community, but sometimes you have those outliers or those asterisk people who want to, like, bring chaos. So, like, when it came like to the smaller things, like, do you have any tips or suggestions for me, because I'm going to attend next year, as well as any of my listeners?
Okay, I mean, you say that. No, I'm just playing.
Okay.
Yeah, they had security gates, so like I'm pretty sure you couldn't bring like a full on sword like into it. So I mean, that atmosphere, like I felt safe. I felt like no one's gonna run up and cause harm or anything like that. And again, it's like I mentioned, the 8-year-old girl. Like there were like a few kids, around there. It was like a safe space just from a family perspective, but it was also a lot of us, millennials, just running around as well, being our adult selves, just trying to live our childhoods again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you get to see any of RDC World, like up close and in person, or like did you do or pay for any meet and greets or anything?
I did not. And I think that's where the gold and platinum badge people got fleeced like heavy. And so like I just paid for like the basic package, just for entry into like, most of the events. But the people that paid for like the platinum badges, they got access to the basketball tournament and the dodgeball tournaments. And a lot of the meet and greets. I think some bros were there. I vaguely know about them. I only know about Berleezy, who's like, one of the main guys, and some bros, but they're like YouTube personalities, Twitchers, things of that nature. But like a lot of those people that paid for that tickets, for the meet and greets, didn't get a chance to see them because, they weren't there for their allotted time. Like they had to go leave, for instance, to go prepare for the dodgeball tournament. So, and I think that's how like a lot of people who are really negative about this convention were kind of treating it as like a meet and greet instead of just like an overall con. And it's like I'm a huge fan of like RDC, but it's like I'm not really big on like celebrity. So it's like I again just like went there for the experience, which is probably why I had a more positive experience than others. But
That's a good point. Yeah, a lot of people I think feel like, oh, just because a celebrity throws an event or hosts an event doesn't mean, or I would consider them to be like celebrities, whether they're internet or not. Just because they're hosting or throwing an event or it's their event doesn't mean you're going to be hugging necks and shaking hands with them specifically. I do feel like, yeah, the timing, there should have been more prep time if this is going to be there. Like if you're supposed to be hugging necks, shaking hands from 8 to 10, then I expect you to be there from 8 to 10, not like 8 to 9:30 or 8:30 to 9 because I got to prepare for the next event. It's like, who did the schedule blocking? Yeah, I can feel the frustration with certain people having that issue, especially if you paid up for tickets and expect.
Yeah, like, and that's what is probably going to be one of the biggest issues for next year is, I guess recreating the incentive to buy those platinum badges.
You feel like they're worth it with the other incentives included?
Not this year, because I mean, like the platinum badges, if I'm understanding what they were for, like a lot of them, it's like you get like first entry access, which like everybody just bum rushed lines anyway as soon as they let open the doors, and because it was like so disorganized, like the lines in the platinum badge lines just kind of like you know, just kind of got muddy. And I
Meshed
was like
together.
getting front row seats where it's like platinum badge people should have gotten it, and yeah. So it's like if I got a platinum badge, this year, like I would be, just less inclined to, get them next year. And yeah, so that's just one thing that they need to uh, improve on, which I'm pretty confident that they will.
Yeah, and I'm sure they like listen to the feedback, and it's better and better every year. The one other thing I did want to ask you is food. What were the food options like? Because I know I think at one time they were talking about having like a cafe, and it was kind of like like in Japan they have like the robotic cafes or the people that are doing dances and stuff while they're serving you. Did
Oh,
you
that's
see any
dope.
of that?
I need to go to Japan. Um, no, I mean, so that's what's cool about Austin is that like Austin has like a bunch of food trucks, and because you can walk around everything, like that's where we got our food was just food trucks. Like there were like a couple of like concessions like inside the like the merch area. We can get like chicken fingers
Mm.
and stuff like that, but um, yeah, they didn't really spend or like invest in like food like inside the convention center, but there was plenty of like food outside, um, which is
Okay.
why like just like having like a good location is just as important as the convention itself. And I think Austin was a good choice for them.
Okay. Sounds good. You mentioned merch. So what did you bring me back from DreamCon 2023, Julian?
Oh, nothing, nothing specific. I mean, it's something that I can get in Texas, but not here. I'll just put it that way.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like the listeners to know about your DreamCon 2023 experience?
I loved it as a first timer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
whoever says like cancel DreamCon is
What? That
it
was
is
not a
well.
thing. Don't
I like.
play.
I'm glad that it's not becoming a thing because that's where I first like started to see like right after it ended was like cancel DreamCon, and I think people were just pissy about just like their experience. I spent all this money, and it's like they're just forgetting like just how much of a original experience it is for us black people, us black nerds that we get to have. So uh blurred.
Blurs. We're
Yes,
called
yes, we
blurs.
call blurred exactly. Yeah, so I mean it's the ultimate blurred experience.
Okay.
We'll definitely plan on going again next year. Definitely want to try and dress up, which I'm trying to get my body right, so it's
Hmm.
like I can dress up as a shirtless anime character, and do that. That's gonna work.
Okay.
Um,
I hear
but
that.
yeah, I definitely enjoyed myself, and the downsides of DreamCon did not outweigh the overall experience I've had.
We love to hear it and see it. Again, I will be going to DreamCon 2024. So if you want to group up and meet up, because I'm sure I'm not going to be going alone, then we could definitely do that. But I am also, like you mentioned earlier, I'm one of those people like I might come somewhere with a group, but I'm trying to go do my own things. Like we don't all have to ride the same things. We don't all have to be together. I'm trying to go do my own thing. And there's no shade, no tea, no nothing. It's just that I want to
Exactly.
experience things as a
Yeah,
whole.
do
So I'll
what you
support
want.
you on
That's
that.
another thing that
Um,
I'll say. Like, just yeah, I know you plan on like having like a group of people like coming through with you, but do what you want because like it's only a weekend that you get to experience DreamCon. So that's all I'll say.
yes. Okay. Thank you again for sharing your experience. Is there anything you would like the people to know about you? Any projects you want to plug? Where can the people follow or find you if you want to add that? Or if you have any like recent gaming or anime or manga recommendations, you
Yeah.
can use those now.
I should ask the people, to have some recommendations for me because I'm trying to get into, a new anime as well.
Okay. Hold up. Interjection. What you mean? Ask them to give you recommendations. Have you finished
I
Old
told you
School
that in
Bleach
confidence, all right? Why you trying to put my... I plead the fifth.
You was quiet for a little bit. I told you that in confidence.
But yes, I also said that I was gonna finish it in time. Bleach ain't going nowhere. Bleach ain't going.
Yeah, so are these other recommendations you trying to get from other
Hey,
people?
no, it's like I'll create a list. It's never bad to have a queue.
Yeah, it's a never-ending queue too, with all the animes that come out every 5 seconds.
But
Never-ending queue.
yeah, not really on social media a whole lot. But if you do want to reach me, my Instagram is Julian Slade 92, and that's Slade SLAID, not Slade like the villain from Teen Titans. Yes.
I'm Batman.
Julian Slade 92.
Not that Slade. Okay. Again, thank you all for stopping by the Coco Convo Corner. Julian, thank you so much for joining us. You can reach us at the Coco Convo Corner on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify. If you have any questions or suggestions or topics that you might want to hear about from my personal experience or review-wise, you can also reach me for those things. Bye!